Hey everyone, welcome to the CC Armor channel. What I have here today for you is, this is a Czechmate, so the Tactical Sports Series CZ full-blown open gun. This is from a friend. It's heavily modified, has a different compensator. This is an aluminum compensator, take a little bit of the weight in the front. The original one's a steel one with one more chamber, a little bit longer, a little bit heavier. So this helps take some of the weight from the front of it. It also has this huge optics. This is kind of I think a rifle optics. Is the Hollow Sun 510C, and it has some different grips. It has a brass grip, flat gripping on side, and a palm swell G10 on the other. That's how he likes to shoot. And has also the brass magwell from Lock Grip here. A different thumb rest than the original one from the Czechmate. This one goes well, just like the original one on the bracket for the dot, but this is also a different bracket. The original bracket that comes with it only fits a Seymour right slide, that long optics that comes with it, which by the way, it's really good. It's really a good optics, really robust. I think it comes with a 6 mil, very crisp, very good dot. It's just big and kind of feels a little bit outdated. Well, this is huge too, but more modern, right? Way more modern dot or optics here, and also has a different slide racker here. The original one, it's flat, so you really have to use it if you're a right-hander. You need to use to the other side, because this is gonna, as you put your thumb here on the safety, the flat slide racker hits right on your knuckle here. So you don't want that. That's gonna hurt. It's gonna be really painful to shoot every time you slide rack. The slide racker will hit the thumb, so you would need to use to the other side. So what we normally do is replace by this other one with this curve up, and it helps with the clearance to your thumb. What I'm gonna do in this one here, so this is the gun that I shoot in the open division as well. Not exactly this one. This is not mine. Like I said, mine's a little bit different. I just have G10 grips on both sides. There's not like a lot of weight in the back, but I do have the brass magwell, and I do have an aftermarket compensator, but it's also steel, so about the same weight. It's just 3 chambers on the top and 2 on the side, as opposed to 4 on the top like the original one. And what I'm gonna do, other than that, it's kind of a same as this one. What I was asked to do in this one is the button, the mag release button. It's too hard for the taste of this person, and they want it to be a little bit lighter. They want to press with a little bit less effort to make the mag release. So what we're gonna do in this one is replace the mag release spring by another one that I tried to relieve a little bit. Like, I think you can buy reduced power mag release springs, aftermarket reduced power mag release springs. I may need to buy one later if what I'm gonna do doesn't work. But what I did is I just got an original spring, and I apply a little bit of heat, and I reduce a little bit of this angle here, so it's not as wide open as the original one. And hopefully this is gonna help. It's about 2 mm closer, so you'll put a little bit less tension, a little bit less pressure in the mag button. This will hopefully help. If not, I would need to really get that aftermarket part and replace it. So this is what we're going to do here today, is replace this little spring to make the mag release button a little bit lighter. Alright, so really what I have to do here is separate the slide from the frame. I'm going to be working just on the frame. The magazine release spring is located in the frame right here behind the trigger. So I'm not going to do anything on the slide. I just need to separate the slide from the frame. And this model here from this friend, his thumb rest covers the slide stop. So I need to remove the thumb rest so I can remove the slide stop and separate the slide from the frame. I also need to remove the, you have to remember, well, I'm going to remove the dot too. So yeah, remove the dot, the thumb rest, and then I can separate the slide from the frame without needing to remove the slide racker. If I'm just doing the cleaning of the gun, for instance, and I just want the slide to come off and keep the dot where it is, then I need to remove the slide racker as well. Otherwise it hits the frame, it hits the dot here when it moves forward. So let's do that. Alright, so 2 Allen bolts and then 3 Torx torque screws behind those. So I already loosened them up. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, those are very, very stuck here. So I think there was either an excessive amount of Loctite or just it was just tight too much, and I had to use a little bit of heat. So here's the trick, and I'm not doing it on camera, but I can kind of do it again here just to show you. You can get the thickest, like this wasn't even the one that I used. Get a really strong Allen wrench. So the one I use a bit like this, which is a lot stronger than this long one here. And then put it in there. And don't try to, if you try to really go, like these are really small, like 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. If this is really tight, too hard, or it has a lot of Loctite, and you try to force a way out, you're gonna strip these bolts, and it's a nightmare to remove them after stripped. So here's the trick: you put the Allen wrench there, get some torch. Make sure like the only plastic component here in this whole area. Of course, there's the dot that you want to protect from the heat, but there's also I believe this is a polymer trigger. So yeah, so you need to be careful with this trigger as well. So as long as I don't put heat on the dot or the trigger, I should be safe. So you just hold it there, get a torch, and just apply heat. And as you put heat, you start trying to force your way up slowly with the torch going there, and this helps remove the bolt without stripping anything. So just a little trick for you guys. That's kind of how you do it to remove Loctite. Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of Loctite here, and that's probably what was causing this to be stuck in the way they were. So let's hope it isn't the same case with the torque screws here. So this is a T20, same ones you have for the original grips. These are different grips, they have different bolts, but the original ones take this M3.5 T20 Torx. So they seem to be pretty stuck as well. So I'm gonna do here with you guys, just put a little bit of heat as I keep forcing my way out. There you go. See, it comes off. So again, these are easy to strip out. This one feels like it's a little bit stripped already, so I have to be even more careful. Pull a certain amount of heat there. Make sure you don't touch any plastic, anything that is, or the dot, anything that's sensitive to heat. You should do just fine. There we go. One more up. These are very tight. And a lot of Loctite. I understand though, these bolts come off really easy with vibration and heat from shooting the gun, so it's just normal that people are going to use a lot of Loctite on it. Make sure that doesn't happen. This one is tighter, so might not be the best. Like this Torx might not be the best one right now. Let me see if I got a second one. T20. Maybe this will be better. You gotta be patient and methodical here, so you don't really strip that. Take your time now, so you don't need to take your time later trying to remove a strip bolt, which is never fun. There we go. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit before I touch these things, so we'll be off camera. I'll be right back. Alright, cool down, you can take it out. So here's one thing that I should have mentioned, and it is the proper way to do it. Like if you have a dot mounted in a aluminum bracket like this one, aluminum conducts heat really well. So as I was torching this, as I was using heat on this bolt, it was actually sending heat to the dot as well. It's just radiating through the aluminum plate here. And when I touched the dot, it was hot. It was not super hot. It didn't damage, still working fine. But ideally, you want to remove the dot before you do that. However, in this case, it isn't something I couldn't have done anyways, because the dot is fixed on the plate from underneath. So there was no access. There was no way to access it from underneath when they are here. So I would need to do what I did anyways. But just for the record, that's how you do it. So I got the thumb rest out, got the dot out. Lots of Loctite, as you can see. Alright, I'm gonna try to clean this up later. Now, you need to separate the frame from the slide. Here's a trick with any ABCZ, basically ABCZ gun that I know of works the same way in that sense. You need to remove the slide stop in order to get the slide separate from the frame. Here's what you can do. Push, make sure the gun is empty, of course. There's nothing on the chamber, nothing in the mag well. I can press the trigger, gun is safely being safely operated here. So what you can do is just push the barrel a little bit back and engage the safety. When you do that, you can see that and then you let go, right? And let go of the barrel. It gets caught exactly where the marks are lined up between the frame and the slide, and that's where it needs to be to push this slide stop out. So you see it's out of battery. So it's perfect. Then all I have to do is just push the slide stop out. I'm gonna use a plastic punch. See, it comes off easy. There you go. It's my slide stop. And then after that, it's just disengage the safety and pull the barrel. And pull the slide. It comes off. Perfect. So I'm gonna put the safety again because I got my hammer cocked and I don't want to fire. That's another thing for you guys not to do ever. Don't pull the trigger when you don't have the slide on top of the frame, because what's gonna happen when you do so is your hammer is gonna hit the ejector or the sear cage here directly, as opposed to hit the firing pin or the slide that would be protecting it from it. So of course your ejector is not designed to get an impact from the back like this, so it might break. So you don't want to do that. That would be a sad day when you break your sear cage or ejector because you forgot to engage the safety. Either engage the safety or just decock the hammer. Put the hammer down when you're working on the gun on the slide, on the frame like this. Especially on these open guns, and I think his is not that much. My Czechmates, I got a 26-pound mainspring here. So that is just for the reference, for everybody who shoots those Shadow 2s out there, for instance, the original spring that comes in the Shadow 2 is anything between 15 and 17 pounds. I'm talking about 26 pounds here, so that's really, really heavy, really, really strong spring. So if you fire without anything here to support for the hammer to hit on, and it hits directly on the sear cage, there's a very good chance something's gonna break. So I'm gonna put the hammer down here, and we're gonna go work on replacing the magazine release spring. Alright, the magazine release spring is this. You can see where it is. Again, this is the part that we're going to replace. It looks like this. And it is located, you guys not familiar with CZ design architecture, it's located right here. Hopefully the camera is catching that. There's a flat screw that you can maybe, I don't know if the camera is catching it. It's kind of dark here. Let's see if we can get lights here. Oh, that's much better. Okay, there you go. So you got that flat screw there. It holds that spring going this way in place. So we're gonna remove that, pull the spring out, and then that's gonna allow us to get the mag release off. You don't need to actually. Just a matter of put the other spring and put the flat bolt on top, and job done. So let's see. Alright, all we need is a flat screwdriver of the proper size. I don't know exactly how to call this, what size it is, but let me give you in millimeters. This is about a 6.8 millimeter, 7 millimeter. If that's an inch, it will be about maybe a 1/4 inch. A little bit more than a 1/4 inch. Flat screwdriver. And that's gonna do it. Let's turn that off. So hopefully this doesn't have the amount of Loctite that we had here. This bolt, it's a nightmare. This flat screw here is a nightmare to remove when it's stripped. So okay, luckily this one is not as stuck as the others. That's good. It's a very thin thread. Okay, one thing you need to be careful here, to be mindful, is your trigger return spring. Don't know if you guys can see this, but the trigger return spring, which is right here where I'm pointing, it's kind of on the way, so you have to be careful with to remove the bolt without bending that spring. So you need to go 1/4 ton by 1/4 ton and repositioning the flat screwdriver to remove it without really messing with that spring. Or if you want to get the spring off the way, you just need to remove the trigger in the trigger bar. I just don't want to go that step. I think we can do that without removing that, saving one step. Now it will come out. Here it is. And we can pull the magazine release spring. You gotta be careful with this one. You might want to jump out of the frame, so be careful when you do this. If you try to press the magazine release button a little bit, take a little bit off the pressure there, off the tension that it is. There you go. So the theory here is I'm going to replace this one with this one. So here's the difference. They look identical, but actually one of them has the legs are kind of not as spread as the other one. So the original one, the new one that I was working on, had about 14 millimeter distance gap between the right here between these two legs, and I worked a little bit of heat and reduced the angle on the top to get it's like 12.5, and that's what we have in this one here. So you can tell that the gap, the biggest difference you can probably notice. Let me see if I put it here in the camera, if that's gonna look better. Like this is closer than this, and that probably is going to produce a little bit. The hope is that this is going to produce a little bit less tension and make the magazine release button lighter to pull, lighter to push. So now the next step is we get the magazine release button out. Actually, you can keep it in place. I'm going to take advantage that I took the spring off and clean up a little bit. There's a little bit more friction here than I would like to see. So I'm going to try to clean the frame, clean this magazine release, and take that friction off. Make sure that all the pressure there, all the tension is just due to the spring, and there's nothing, no friction, no dirt or anything there making it worse. Be right back with this clean. Alright, magazine release button is clean. It does feel much better. There's less friction here, so it looks like we had a little bit of dirt kind of going in the way here. Now to put the next step is then put the magazine release spring, the reduced power magazine release spring in place. It's kind of a little bit of a nightmare to put this up, and I think I mentioned this is in one of my disassemble or reassemble videos, that this is one of the most annoying parts to put back together. And what you have to do, the best way that I learned to do that is remove the grip panels, and so you can have your thumb or something underneath here to keep the spring in the gap once it goes into that gap. So I'm going to remove this grip. We got different bolts on the sides here. Looks like I got the regular T20 here. So this one will work. Oh yeah, no Loctite in this one. Much easier. Not excessive Loctite, per se. And then this one, a smaller one. Not sure this is Storks or Allen wrench. I think Storks. I think Storks. This is more like a T10, maybe. Yeah, T10. So T10. This grip's a little bit tighter. Push it up. This is my fault. So these grips were original size, extended for not to use with the magwell, and he asked me to cut the size to be able to use the magwell. It looks like I cut it it's too snug here. I could have taken a little bit of, 1/1000 of an inch off of the bottom to make it not stuck that much. Anyways, let's go back to the magazine release spring. So what I'm going to do is, now that I get the grip panels out of the way, I'm going to get a nose plier like that, squeeze the spring here, be very careful. This is when the spring tends to fly away, So just be careful. Make sure you have a good grip before you let go with your support hand here. So I'm holding my left hand and using the right hand on the plier. And then once it goes there, yep, see, it escaped. So lucky me, it didn't fly up, it went down, so that's good. So it's kind of a little bit of annoyance to put this together, put this in place. If you have a better method, please put in the comments, teach me how to do this, because this is the one part that I do not really like much, is put this spring back in place. It keeps slipping. Here's what I thought about doing. I may do that actually. Get a plier like this, and just on the blades of the plier, like here, I'm just gonna carve a channel on each side, so it actually goes, the springs, it goes like the springs get really, you know, on those channels, and it won't really escape. That could be it. That plier is gonna be useless after that. It's gonna be really only for this type of thing. But you know, this is cheap stuff. You can get one of this like Harbor Freight for really cheap, and just to do that, just carve the. I like that idea. I'm gonna do that. Got those channels in the blade, and I'll never suffer again to put a magazine release spring in place again. That'll be it. I can't get a good grip on it. Not even if my life depends on it. You know what? I'm gonna do this now on this plier. Let's see how it goes. I'll be right back. Alright, introducing the plier, the magazine release spring removal plier. You see this, the notch that I put here on each side of on each blade of the plier? So the hope is that the spring is gonna kind of latch to those notches and then not move and not fly anywhere. So let's see how that works. Oh, perfect. Look at this. First attempt. It's right there. It's squeezed like I need it to be. And if I go here now, why didn't I do this before? Right there. First attempt. That's it. It's not annoying to put this anymore. Well, did I over-engineer this? Probably did not need to sacrifice a plier. Let me know in the comments. I don't know. I just felt like I've done enough of this. I have experience with this. I probably take this apart, put it together, like, I don't know, hundreds of times maybe, and it's still annoying to me. I still couldn't develop a good way, even with a lot of experience doing it, of really doing it quick. So, and quick and easy. So I thought this is gonna be very useful from now on. Well, let me know in the comments. Maybe you know a way to do it much better than I do, and maybe I didn't need to do that. I'll tell you, it was fun to do it. So I like tools, and I like doing tools, building tools too. So that was fun. Now I have to put the slide magazine release button in place, and then slide the spring in. You have to use a little bit of maybe a small flat screwdriver here to push the spring in the slot as you go. The button in place, it's not in, there we go, it's in, perfect. That is much lighter than it was before. I think he's gonna like it. So now we have to test it. We need to make sure this magazines are actually not coming off unintentionally. So let me get that bolt first. Now we go in reverse. We're gonna get this little flat screw. Goes back into the original place, so it keeps the spring in place. It should do the trick. It's still better. Oh yeah, this is much better. So this is it. It's much lighter now. I need to put a magazine in. Make sure it is coming off. Okay, this feels much lighter. I'm gonna make sure it works with the magazine. in and out, in and out. It's working just fine. Right, so now it's just put everything back together. Get the slide, get the grip panels back, then the slide back, and we'll be done. Alright, get the grip panel back. That's the... So like I said, I cut this one for him. Looks like I could have done a better job here. Like I said, it's really tight. You know what? I'm going to do the adjustment on this thing right now. I'll be right back. There you go. I did trim a little bit more of this side of the grip in front, and now it fits perfectly. Got that. So he has those rubber O-rings in the between the bolt and the frame, so that kind of keeps it positive tension here. Don't need necessarily to use a lot of Loctite on this ones. Looks good. Trigger works fine. Now we're gonna go put the slide back. And while I'm here, this looks really dry, so you know, because he's my friend, I don't want him to have any malfunctions. I'm gonna take a moment to lube a little bit, since this feels really dry. Don't know how long it's been since he lubed this gun last time. He doesn't shoot open gun. He doesn't shoot this in open division normally, so maybe it's been a long time since he shot it. So to put this slide back, it's gonna be the same trick that I showed you before. You put it in, push the barrel back, engage the safety, and then let go. And now your slide stop pin goes straight in without much resistance in. There we go. In there. Now you can just disengage the safety. And alright. It feels pretty good. Now I'm going to put the optics and then the thumb rest. So I'm going to clean this up, clean a little bit of this Loctite here, so he doesn't run into a situation where he strips any of these bolts. So that's a lot. That's a lot of Loctite. I'm gonna clean this. Look at this. I'm gonna clean this up too. There's way too much Loctite in this thing. So I'll be back after cleaning this. I'm gonna get this area clean as well. Alright, this feels better, a little cleaner. The threads and these bolts are also much cleaner. There's still a little bit of Loctite. It's good to keep some Loctite on it, so I don't need to put any new Loctite on top of this, but too much can be a problem too. You do not want this bolt to strip. I would hate this guy to come back, this friend to come back and say, hey, I need you to work on my Czechmate again, but this time I need you to remove some strip bolts. So, not gonna happen. Not under my watch. Do not need to put an extreme amount of torque here. Just enough. Especially, here's another good thing about this design. The thumb rest is gonna come on top of it. So these bolts are not gonna be able to really get loose too much, because this goes on top of it. Let me see how much Loctite we have. These ones are fine. Like it's gonna go right on top. Oh, he had in this position here. I remember it was covering this light stop pin. So it will cover all three bolts. Actually will not be able to walk out. Not much, at least. Of course, you don't want them to get any loose, because this is your dot, and you'll take the 0 off the dot. But you're good with that the way it is right now. So a 2.5 Allen wrench. And here's something I like to do. It's a good practice, maybe a best practice on these things too. Just get a marker. I like to use this kind of a white acrylic paint, cheap stuff, pan, and just put a dot on each side, like a dot on the boat and a dot on the whatever part that boat's holding place. So you will know that if the boat is walking out, it starts moving, those parts will not be aligned. Those paint marks will not be aligned anymore, and then you know you need to do something about it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to get a little rag with alcohol to make sure the paint is actually gonna adhere to it. I'll do in the frame bolt as well. This up. Dry it out. And go here and do this. See, there are no marks here. I'm gonna put one right next to the boat on the frame, and one here on the boat, on the first boat that holds the thumb rest, the second boat that holds the thumb rest. That's it. This will help him identify whether or not these boats are walking out. You can hopefully see the marks. I think the thumb rest marks are hard to see. There you go, that angle is good. So you got this, you get the marks here on the boat that goes in the frame that holds the third boat. The other two are hidden behind the thumb rest, so it's useless to put those marks. But at least the third one, you see if it's walking out or not. If these two paint marks are moving, then you know your boat is walking. And same thing on these two boats holding the thumb rest. And this is it. It's working and job done. This is much looser, and I think he's going to be happy with it. This is it. Thank you for watching.